Because what the world does to you is the world does it to you long enough and effectively enough. You begin to do it to yourself. You become a collaborator, an accomplice of your own murderers, because you believe the same things they do. They think it's important to be white, and you think it's important to be white. They think it is shameful to be black, and you think it is shameful to be black. And you have no corroboration around you of any other sense of life.
Now I will never be your hater, I'm your biggest fan. I hope it falls into place just how you planned it. Life could put you in a pickle, just make sure it's kosher. Lean on me like Bill Withers until you smell the roses. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail, you see the title. The importance of whiteness, right? And we see that a lot. You know, sometimes us as black people, and you see it with non-black people and non-white people, people want to be white, if not physically, mentally. And you see white people not understanding anything that isn't in a white mindset. I think that's just BS, though. I think people do that to make you do things what you would consider their way, and they would consider their way, but even as a setup. And the issue with it is groups are different. They do things differently. So when we say, you know, sometimes, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, people attribute good things to white people and bad things to black people or other groups of people, you know. And they overlook all of the negativity of white people and overplay all the negativity of non-white people. And part of what James Baldwin was talking about is you become complicit. You know, you become an agent of your own sabotage. So there's a way that you do things and it works for you, but you're not willing to keep doing it because it ain't the white way. And other people want you to do it a different way, and it's effective, it works because it ain't the white way. And then if you change it up, the white people will do it the same the way you're doing it, the way you did it, and then it's like, oh, this is the great way to do it. And you don't realize until it's too late that, yo, I got suckered. And I forget who I was listening to, but they were talking about China and how, it might have been King Ganda podcast, and how China, once they got out of colonialism maybe like 40 years ago, they started doing things the Chinese way. And in 40 years, they're a powerhouse. Yeah, but in Africa, they're still trying to do things the white way. And it ain't working for Africa because they're not white. And I see it even on social media where you see a lot of folks really catering and kowtowing to whiteness that aren't white. And the irony of it is there's a part of it that's very, very cowardly, where, you know, screwing people over and stabbing people in the back is considered smart. And if you're doing it the white way, you know, but if you do it the white way to white people, all of a sudden it's wrong. And if other people do that to white people, it's wrong. But if white people do that to anybody, it's right. You know, but if a black person does it to another black person and he's doing it the white way, somehow he's white. He's right. And if a black person does that to a black person doing it the black way, he's wrong. And it's like, this comparison is detrimental. You know, when we went to school, you know, we had to do history a certain way, math a certain way, science a certain way, you know, by the book, which was okay. But when people would think outside of the box and get it right, the teachers couldn't deal with that. When people drew a conclusion and they were right, and sometimes you couldn't explain it. Your mind did it, and you couldn't explain it. And sometimes, teachers are trying to tell you you got to put it on paper so it can be followed and it can be explained. So sometimes you got some teachers that just don't want you to use your mind, and you got other teachers that want you to use your mind, but you gotta write out the steps that had in your head so you can remember what's going on. You can write down what went on in your head. Because if you ever want to be innovative, whatever you have in your head, you're gonna have to write it down anyways. But there comes a part where people think, the white way is the only way to do it. And even you hear that in the conversations of, when I talk proper, people made fun of me. They thought I was talking white. And it's like, oh, when I dress like this, people think I'm being white. Or people think they're doing the right things. And it's like, no, you just assimilated to being white. Well, it works, doesn't it? I'm just doing what it works. And it's like, okay. And then somehow when it doesn't work for you anymore, I don't know what happened. It's like, yeah, you're not white. It doesn't work for you like it works for white people. You can do that with non-white people, but you can't do that with white people. What don't you get about that? You know. But some people have an importance to be white. You know. That's the whole swirling and divesting thing. If we're gonna get somebody white, we're gonna get somebody white. We've had that for years in people's family. Get somebody white or get somebody light. Let the baby come out light, bright. And then it's like, oh, okay, whatever, man. Whatever. You know. And it's gone to the point where a lot of us, we went to the suburbs. Some of it because we wanted to be with the nice white folks and white stuff. And others is just because didn't want to be in the traffic. But the kids are suburban, and you want like, oh, they soft. Because I saw a clip of guy on a Breakfast Club talking about parenting. It was Charlemagne, I want to say Jason Lee, and DJ Envy. And the guy was talking about parenting and how your kids should be able to talk back a little bit because it's good for their mind. And the guy was like, "Nah, that's disrespectful." It's like, well, no, it shouldn't be disrespectful. You should be the first person the kids push back against, basically. And then Jason Lee said, um, yeah, that's what white folks used to do with their kids. That's what we used to think how white people parented. And brother, the way guys coming off, it's kind of this idea that you're smarter and more refined and more open and more progressive if you're a non-white person doing things that you think white people do. And a lot of times, all you're just doing is you're throwing out your culture, like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And then you wind up being lost. It might take a short amount of time, it might take a long amount of time, but you're going to be lost. And and you see a lot of you see black people who you know have an issue with black people who don't think white enough, and it's like, oh, okay, and they think you don't get it. I'm smarter than you. I'm better than you. You just don't get what's going on. It's like, no, I get what's going on. I'm just not that, and I'm not trying to be that. You, on the other hand, are. That's on you though. But there's a lot of even in the job market, the importance of whiteness. That's what affirmative action and the double minority thing was. And latching on to white womanhood and whiteness in that way. You know, that's what people. I'm going to school to get an education. And part of it is to get an education in the field that you want. The other part is to come out indoctrinated and be as white as possible. So there's nothing you can stop me because I know the language and the lingo, and I was in the Skull and Bones. But it's like whatever, man. So I was theta phi theta. But there comes a point where, and I think this is part of the mental breakdowns you're seeing with a lot of people. It's that the importance of whiteness starts to mentally mess with folks, and they lose it. You'll never be white. thinking white never really works for you in the end, and you went down that rabbit hole, you know, and then when it don't work out, it's like, what happened? I don't understand. Like you drank the Kool-Aid. I mean, it don't have them. It's just white Kool-Aid. It's got sweet and low. It ain't got no sugar, so you're just a little off. You got a headache. It's NutraSweet. You got a headache. It might be stevia. You might try stevia next time, but. Tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna tell you that.